Hey, what's up, card fighters? So this is gonna be my THEGREA deck profile. This is me and a buddy. Shout out to Hadar. Me and a buddy of mine have been labbing this deck like really intensely. Like you see the amount of THEGREA from this, like from set 11. That you've seen the amount of THEGREA games on my channel. Like we have been trying to like crack this deck to where it's like, what is the best version of it? This is what I like the best. This is what makes the most sense to me. And this is how I like to play the deck. I know there's some people that they prefer Justice in the ride line because they get to do a Persona ride on turn 3 and push. I don't necessarily like that myself because you're only making 3 attacks maximum and that's it. That's why I don't like doing the whole Justice thing in the ride line, and it does require more pieces. To whereas in this version, you really only need to get Justice in your hand, and have the set order set by turn 3, and then everything else is just gravy after that. But yeah, this is my THEGREA deck profile. We're playing the Grade 1 THEGREA in the ride line. It's just like so easy to soul blast it, and you only ever need one, so there's no reason to play more than one. We're still playing the Grade 2 THEGREA because it searches for Justice, it searches for the order, so it's still good to have in the ride line. It's not a need. It's not a need to have. It's not a need, but it's a nice to have. But yeah, getting on to the rest of the deck, I am starting with Light THEGREA, just that way when I do Persona Ride and then Superior Persona Ride on turn 4, I start on Dark, and I'm able to do the double Vanguard swing. Getting onto our Grade 3s. Basically, this is going to be the THEGREA engine. I tried. This is as small as I've been. Ooh, it's not even on screen. This is as small as I've been able to get the THEGREA engine myself without it feeling like uncomfortable or like just basically like like hoping I top deck certain pieces. So 4 copies of Justice. A requirement. It's basically your new boss unit of the deck because your new version of the deck is just basically trying to get double Persona Ride off by turn 4, have 30k power added to the front row, and just hit for like big numbers. Like that is really what the deck is. Survive till your turn 4, hit big numbers, and then usually your game is over by turn. Sometimes you can kill on turn 4, but usually your game is over by like turn 5, turn 6 the latest. If the game goes past that, you either decked out or you lost. If the game goes past that, just because like you go through the deck. So despite my best efforts, there's not really any good clean way to put back cards in the deck to whereas you don't deck out with this deck. But yeah, you either kill on turn like 4, 5, or 6, or like you basically just deck out and lose. But yeah, 4 Justice, and then another engine requirement, 2 Dark THEGREA. The reason you need 2 Dark THEGREA is because you need 1 Dark in Soul to Superior Ride it from the Justice effect. Justice does search Dark THEGREA from deck, but yeah, engine requirement. You need it at 2 in case you damage 1. As long as you have the 1 in Soul, you don't really need the other one. The other one is just like in case you damage it. 2 of the set order. This is basically what turns your Persona Rides into 15Ks and lets you draw 2 cards every time you Persona Ride. It is the draw 2 effect that decks you out. Like, the draw 2 is nice, especially since more often than not you're using your whole hand to like hold on to dear life so that you can make it to your illustrious turn 4 so you can Persona Ride and then Persona Ride again, and so you can basically like stabilize and like come back to the game. Is the best way I could put it. But yeah, 2, it's an engine requirement. It's still a fairly expensive card. They're not $100 a piece anymore, or like $50 a piece, but they're like 30, 20. I'm borrowing these 2. Again, shout out to my friend Hadar. I'm borrowing these 2 because he got a playset of it. I never just picked these cards up, especially with the way they did the reprint, to where it's just like, hey, if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, you don't get it. That's why this card is still fairly expensive, even though you do need to. Like, this is a very expensive rogue deck, guys. Like, I would not recommend this deck. Like, the only time I would recommend this deck is like if you really like THEGREA, if you really like titties. Like, this is the deck for you. But I wouldn't recommend this deck. There's just so many better Keter decks. So many other Keter decks that can just like play before turn 4. You really don't play until turn 4. Like you use Light THEGREA's effect to like Superior Call 1 rear guard, but that's about it. You're holding on to dear life until turn 4. Getting on to the rest of the engine. Playing 3 copies of Retrospective Dragon. This is your order searcher. This is what searches your set order. I was playing it at 4. I cut it down to 3 because, like I said, like this is like the tightest I've been able to get the engine of the deck. I cut it down to 3 because you really only need to see 1, and you're able to. It's when it's called from anywhere. Period. So you're able to, worst comes to worst, top 5 search your deck for it off of Light THEGREA's CB1 skill. That's why I feel comfortable cutting it down at 3. I wouldn't play it at more than 3. I don't really feel like there's any like really good cards that you would play in place of this. Just like my non-engine cards, I wanted my non-engine cards to be at playsets. So that's my only reason why I did shave 1. His second effect really doesn't come up. Sometimes it comes up on turn 3. Sometimes it comes up on turn 4 to like sack a unit after he attacks to give another glitter unit 5k until the end of turn. Sometimes that comes up. More often than not, it really doesn't. But yeah, I guess it's like a nice to have instead of like a need to have. And then another card that I opted to cut down. This just felt like Grade 2 Maple. Let me tell you something about Grade 2 Maple. Grade 2 Maple does not feel necessary at all in this deck anymore. Grade 2 Maple is literally just like, hey, it's in the drop zone. It's a free resurrection from the drop zone when you ride. That is all Grade 2 Maple is in this deck. It's very hard to get her secondary ability to add a card from soul to your hand. Because, like, you can get it off. Like, on turn 5, you can get it off. Because then you'll have 2 Grade 3s in Soul. But it's really hard to get that ability off. Especially since you're using your Soul for, like, more important things. Like Retrospective Dragon and some other key non-engine cards. So, I cut this down to 3. I was very comfortable with this being at 3. I wouldn't cut it down any lower. Just like Retrospective Dragon. Like, this right here is the THEGREA engine. This right here is the tightest I've been able to get the THEGREA engine that I'm able to run like very key non-engine cards, which we're going to get to those right now. 4 copies of the Grade 2 Angel Cycle card. This is just very key because this is a card that lets you draw a card in the early stages when you're riding up, but it doesn't actually remove a card from your deck. It replaces itself. It puts itself back, so you're able to draw a card. So it's basically like free. It's not free draw power, but it's draw power to where you're not like losing cards from deck. Because like again, deck out is a big factor in this deck. So you really don't want to be going ham into the paint with drawing. But it's like it's a necessary evil, and its secondary ability comes up a lot too, to where you're just able to stack triggers on top of your deck. Because this deck revolves around Persona Ride, and it's very easy to get Persona Ride off in this deck. Next, this could be considered engine, but it doesn't require THEGREA. It just requires a Glitter Vanguard. 4 copies of Universal Angel. Universal Angel's effect is when it's discarded during your turn, if you have a Glitter Vanguard, CB1, draw a card. So this works really well with Retrospective Dragon, because Retrospective Dragon doesn't search your set order for free for some reason. Requires you to Soul Blast 1 and discard a card to search your set order, which is like really bugging. But it is what it is. Universal Angel just helps in that fact. You don't want to be using this to draw after turn 3. These cards are to help you stabilize in the early game, because you really don't have much of a really good early game. You don't make good numbers until you hit your turn 4. So these 8 cards are really just here to help you stabilize. So this is like your draw engine that you don't use after turn 4, because once you get to your turn 4, you're drawing 4 cards and then drive checking 3 times. And then for the last non-engine card that we're playing, I'm playing 4 copies of what is this? Another angel, Cutoff Angel. The reason that I'm playing 4 copies of Cutoff Angel, and this will probably, maybe not. The reason we're playing 4 copies of Cutoff Angel is because Cutoff Angel has a really cool effect that says if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 2 or greater, he gets 5k shield. That is the only reason why we're playing Cutoff Angel. He is a 10k shield. Like, it is very... You guys don't understand. Like, I am not exaggerating when I say it is very important that you get to that illustrious turn 4, stabilize, and push back on your opponent, man. Like... Because you don't do anything until turn 4. Like I've said numerous times in this deck profile. You know, I'm not trying to sound like a Debbie Downer. This is just like, this is the reality of, if you want to play this deck, this is just the reality of like these hoops you have to jump through to be able to like actually play this deck. But yeah, going on to the rest of the deck here. 4 DPGs. You can play the Blitz Order PG here. It really doesn't matter too much. I choose not to. Just because, like, I feel like I can get away with it. Just because for locals, I wouldn't take this to a major and event. If this is like a locals deck, for locals, I feel like I can get away without the Blitz Order PG. On to the triggers. 4 regular heals. Now we're running something. You can't... This doesn't have to be you. This is just me. Because I am very hard trying to survive so I can kill my opponent with my dummy thick numbers. I'm playing 4 of the 20k shield fronts. 4 of the 20k shield fronts. 4 into soul crits because sometimes the 2k matters and sometimes the 2k comes up. And then 3 regular crits. So I'm running 7 crit and 4 fronts. Not because the fronts are nice. You already have massive numbers. The fronts are whatever. You are playing the fronts strictly for the shield value. You're playing the fronts to live, bro. So the last card we're playing is, this deck cannot play the Keter OT. Like, you used to be able to in the past. There is no way that this deck can play the Keter OT now. Like, you are drawing 4 cards out of your deck every turn once you hit turn 4, and then drive checking 2 to 3 times. Not to mention your Angel that's gonna rip a card from your deck, your Light THEGREA that's gonna rip like 1 to 2 cards from your deck. Like, deck out is very prominent. Deck out is very prominent. So we're just basically playing the red Kree Elemental OT as like an extra game ender, just to give our rear guard the restand ability, because you already are hitting, like, because you already have that 30k to the front row. Like, more often than not, when you check this, the rear guard you're giving the restand ability to is going to get the 100 million. But yeah, just like, because this deck can only make extra attacks, this is just extra push and kill pressure. Really not much to say here. Yeah, this is my THEGREA deck profile, guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you guys think about this deck down below. I know there's certain people that have been commenting about playing Justice in the Ride deck. I really don't like that. I feel like that just promotes deck out faster, if that's weird. This is like my preferred, this is like my preferred way to play THEGREA. It's still a struggle, but this is just like my favorite way to play the deck right now. I'm not sure if it's necessarily the best, but I feel like this is the best that I can do with the deck. But anyways, guys, later.